Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing to discuss the unauthorized charges on mobile phone bills and the findings of the Chairman's wireless cramming investigation. I commend the Chairman and his staff for shining a light on these abuses. I understand, Senator Blumenthal, that you're graciously filling in for him today, and appreciate that. Mobile payments are a growing way for consumers to pay for goods and services. Third-party billing is one way that consumers can take advantage of new technologies and customer conveniences. There are legitimate uses for this manner of billing. For instance, consumers can provide money to charity, support a political cause, or download the newest song or app and bill the purchase directly to their mobile telephone bill. Yet despite the industry efforts to implement protections and state and federal regulations in place to prevent cramming, unscrupulous actors have been able to game the system to take advantage of third-party phone billing. Of course, cramming is not a new phenomenon. In the late 1990s, Congress devoted a lot of time and attention to the issue of cramming on landline phone bills. This committee held a hearing on that issue again in 2011, highlighting the Chairman's investigation into cramming on landline phone bills and demonstrating the persistence of the problem. Some states have enacted laws to limit third-party billing in an effort to prevent cramming on landline phones, and most of the major phone carriers have ended most types of third-party billing on landline phone bills. More recently, however, concerns have been raised about fraud on wireless phone bills, the topic of today's hearing and the Chairman's more recent investigation. There are three key parties involved in placing third-party charges on consumers' wireless phone bills: the third-party content provider, the billing aggregator, and the phone carrier. From what I've seen, there are some content providers and even some aggregators that appear to be bad actors, but all of the parties involved could do more to protect consumers from cramming. While cramming has been identified as a problem, it's been challenging to accurately measure how many consumers have been affected by cramming. I appreciate that the wireless carriers and their association, CTIA, have taken a number of actions to prevent cramming of third-party charges on wireless phone bills. Significantly, this past November, the carriers decided to end most so-called premium SMS programs, which billed customers for text messages related to topics like daily horoscopes and sports alerts. In addition, at least one carrier has recently decided to end browser-based direct carrier billing. These steps show the carriers treat this issue seriously, but we'll be asking whether they should do more. At the same time, it's important to underscore the extraordinary innovation and economic dynamism in the wireless communication space. The owners of approximately 188 million smartphones in this country spend more time with their mobile devices each day than they do going online with a laptop or a PC. While we must strive to protect consumers from fraud, we must also make sure that we do so in a way that does not stifle innovation. I look forward to hearing from CTIA, who is here today representing the wireless carriers, to discuss how the industry is working to address these issues. I also look forward to hearing from FTC Commissioner McSweeney, who is here for the first time since her confirmation, Mr. LeBlanc of the FCC, and Attorney General Sorrell. The FCC, and State Attorneys General play a key role in fighting cramming with their law enforcement's efforts and by educating consumers about carrier billing. I also want to thank the South Dakota Public Utilities Commission and the South Dakota Attorney General, Marty Jackley, for their work in this area to better protect consumers. One recent government survey found that the Midwest is the most wireless connected region in the country, with 44% of Midwesterners living in cell phone-only homes. This underscores the importance of my constituents, I should say, of addressing wireless cramming. This hearing presents a good opportunity to recognize the good that everyone at the witness table is already doing to combat cramming. Industry, Congress, federal agencies, and state attorneys general all need to continue to work together on this issue to ensure that consumers are informed and protected against bad actors. I want to thank our witnesses for appearing here today, and I look forward to your testimony. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, Commissioner Sweeney, the FTC's complaint in the T-Mobile case states that the FTC and the FCC have concurrent enforcement jurisdiction over mobile telephone companies' billing and collection of third-party charges for non-telecommunications services, but it doesn't cite to any authority for that statement. So, given the so-called common carrier exception, could you explain the authority for this claim in the FTC's complaint?
The FTC has jurisdiction over carriers when they're engaged in non-common carrier activities, such as billing for third-party services, which is the conduct at issue in this case. It's established by the relevant case law.
Are there other activities that the FTC might characterized as non-telecommunications activity by the carriers that the FTC would then claim jurisdiction over?
I would hesitate to give you an exhaustive list, but I imagine hypotheticals in which carriers are billing for third-party services. For example, if a carrier wants to put billing for a weight loss product on their phone bill, then we would consider that kind of conduct covered by the FTC Act.
Mr. LeBlanc, in your opinion, what independent agency is best equipped to regulate and enforce wireless cramming matters for telecommunications carriers?
Well, as Senator Blumenthal pointed out at the beginning, there are a number of different entities that are involved in any cramming. There's the third-party content providers, there's the aggregators, and there as well are the carriers. At the FCC, we have primary jurisdiction over the carriers. We don't have the ability under our authority to reach the third parties, which the FTC, for example, does, as well as our partners at the state level as well. So from our perspective, we think that it's necessary that you have federal, FTC, FCC, as well as state involvement to get to all three parties.
But in your view, though, the FCC is best equipped to deal with the carrier component of that?
Certainly on the regulatory side, there's no question about it, Senator Ranking Thune. We are the only authority that has the ability to promulgate regulations to prevent and to respond to this through rulemaking. On the enforcement side, we have worked very much over the last 4 years, in fact, in particular on cramming at the carrier level, and we're going to continue to vigorously enforce in that area.
Mr. Alschel, the Chairman's report on wireless cramming discusses emerging third-party wireless billing technologies such as the practice known as direct carrier billing. Is this direct carrier billing practice being widely used by the wireless carriers?
At present, the most popular and prevalent use is for billing for purchases made on various web app stores, in particular Google Play. And when a customer goes to the Google Play Store, Google presents the customer with a number of payment options, including credit cards and direct carrier billing, and presents and walks the customer through a number of screens and disclosures to obtain their knowing consent to direct carrier billing.
Should we be concerned that this practice will have the same risk of cramming that for consumers as premium text messaging did?
I think everyone needs to be vigilant and to make sure that this remains a safe and trusted payment vehicle. But as you and others have mentioned, it's mentioned in the reports that came out this week, the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston and others have noted that there are many consumers who are unbanked or underbanked, and mechanisms such as direct carrier billing provides a mechanism, another on-ramp to many of these internet and information services.
And it appears that the burden's on the consumer to identify unauthorized charges on their bills. And the FTC, their recently released report, they recommended that when a carrier terminates a third party's billing activities for unauthorized charges, the carrier also should notify consumers who incur charges from the third party to inform them about the termination so that they can request a refund. What is CTI's response to this recommendation by the FTC, and should carriers do more, such as sending an email or making a phone call to proactively alert customers of potentially fraudulent activity?
Well, first, we endorse the recommendation. It seems to be universal that customers need to look at their bills, whether they're paper, online, and be aware and be prepared to call and question any charges they don't recognize. Second, with respect to carrier activities, I think the record in these reports shows that in certain instances, carriers have done just that. Carriers actually are at a bit of a disadvantage in that they don't know which of their consumers may or may not have opted in to existing programs. Some of these programs may strike those of us in this room as not of much value, but not just in your home states, but at the Georgetown Safeway. Take a look when you go through the checkout counter at the horoscopes, the tabloids, the other magazines that sell exactly the same kind of content that had been marketed through these carrier billing mechanisms. And there is a legitimate interest among many Americans for these services. The carriers just are not in a position to know who's been defrauded. Certainly they're not in as good a position as the customer when they look at their bill.
But should they do more in the form of emails, phone alerts, just to be proactive?
Well, again, in appropriate cases, they have done this, and they certainly should continue to do it, yes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, thank you. So my time's expired.